Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hall of Fame THL induction ceremony for 2022. Also, March Madness stream. We're just doing it all tonight. I'm Donde. I'm excited to be hosting a show for like the first time in a year, which is a little bit nerving because of how important this show is. So happy to have awesome co-hosts with me tonight. A couple guys who are also extremely rusty. I'm gonna kind of muddle through it all together. But first of all, the guy to stage right on the screen, Mark Shire, member of the board, member of the March Madness committee. Excited to have you here with us. How are you doing?
Yeah, Di, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Thanks for putting this together. Like you said, definitely been a while. I feel like the last time I was on stream was probably casting with you, maybe like over a year ago. But
Yeah,
really excited for this. I mean, it's been about a year since our last Hall of Fame induction, and this is definitely a very special class this time around. So I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
looking forward to being on stream with both of you.
You said that there's a lot of fantastic inductees tonight, which we will get to very shortly. But before we get to that, I just want to introduce our other co-host this evening, a man who many of you recognize not only as a member of HSA via the hoodie, but also former host of Hearth Center, voice of THL casting, Ron Mexico. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, how's it going, Donde? Happy to be here. Excited to join in on this Hall of Fame reveal and March Madness reveal. The theme of the night, I think, is just going to be how incredibly stacked everything is. The
Everything.
Hall of Fame induction is so stacked, and the March Madness is blowing me away with how many incredible players we have. So excited to get underway.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. We've been talking about this leading up to the stream here. Every player that we mentioned tonight, from the Hall of Fame to March Madness, I'm sure you'll see some redundancy there. They're all players that are fantastic, have been in THL for a long time, putting out great results and shows, season in and season. I guess without further ado, why don't we actually? Well, we before we get into the actual induction ceremony, you'll notice there is one important person. That is our fearless leader and commissioner, Pat, who you might have seen him on the theory crafting streams this week. Had a pretty busy week, and he wasn't able to make it tonight. But he did have a bit of a message that he pass along to everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and play a message from the commissioner right now for all of you, and we hope that this explains a little bit of the changes that we made to Hall of Fame and just kind of where our thought process was at with it this past off season. Without further ado, take it away, Hat.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the THL Hall of Fame stream. I won't be able to be there live, unfortunately, so please forgive me, but this is a pretty special moment for THL every
Oh, is
time we
Hat
do
muted?
it. And this class is pretty special, pretty significant, so we wanted to call it out. The first Hall of Fame class was all the way back in December 2017. That was the release month of Kobolds and Catacombs for those that were still playing back then. Out of that original committee, only 2 of the 8 are still active in THL today, both the current members of the Hall of Fame. That includes me. What's up? THL had 2 series back then. We had a Ragnaros series, now called Legacy. It had just renamed from being called THL series. And Sylvanas, which is now Hero. Back then it was SHL. Back then when we were still a league the first time. Simply put, THL's different now. It's transformed in ways that I really didn't see coming, and now they did the rest of us. Since 2017, we've added Pro Series, Wild Series, explored the inclusion of European League, shout out to EU Pro, experimented with other game modes, shout out to Battleground Series, tried Mysterious Challenger Series as a solo event. We have our March Madness events, and I guess the Wicked Wednesdays or Manic Mondays. Now you get the idea. Dramatically increased content output. We've revamped the board a couple times. Opened a cool merch store, attracted players of all skill levels, including multiple Masters Tours champions and Grandmasters. We've also responded to how they make Hearthstone differently these days. They have faster nerfs in many sets, and they have ladder revamps, so we've had to change PR a couple times, we've had to push back deadlines, you get the idea. So the Hall of Fame is due for a similar update which we announced last October, the Cross Series performers are due for recognition, and many THL members have really been exceptional as players or captains or contributors across multiple formats and leagues at the same time. You can see that if you look at the crossover rankings. You'll note that we'll note eras that each person participated in. We'll still recognize exceptional performance in a single series where appropriate, but this class is going to look different and will highlight a breadth of performance in a way that's unique to the Hall of Fame so far. So you should be ready. This is the biggest class we've inducted since the first one. Class number 1 in late 2017 was 10 people. We're almost at that number this time around, which none of the other 6 waves have gone through. Everyone that you'll hear about today has a really rich history of success with THL, and each is unique in how they made our organization a better place. So I'm really excited for you to see everyone that's gracing the halls this time around. For those of you that made it, congratulations, welcome. We really appreciate everything you've done to make THL a better place. We're really sorry for your opponents, but you deserve your spots here. The group is really large, so we want to let you know this is the only Hall of Fame class that's being inducted this calendar year. We'll open up nominations again before the third set of Year of the Hydra, before the winter season starts this year, and then we will induct more players as appropriate, players, coaches, players, captains, and contributors around a year from now, before the big first set of the next Hearthstone year. So, have fun watching. Donde, Markshire, Ron, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Ridiculous Hat, for that message, and awesome that he was able to at least be here with us in spirit a little bit and give us kind of, some of that insight that I was talking about as we discussed Hall of Fame inductees. We had several great nominations on top of ones that we actually ended up talk about again next time around. It's just very important to note that just because you might have nominated somebody this time around does not necessarily mean that we discussed everybody nominated. We discussed, and it's very important to know that it's always a tough decision. Not trying to slight anybody, but as Hat did mention, we are going to kind of unify the cycle here and just say, all right, we're going to do this once a year, make it more of a big celebration, a big event. And I think that's a good thing. It's more bankable as far as being able to tell when we're going to do this. And it lets everybody set their expectations, get their nominations prepped, and when we're going to be accepting them. So it's exciting. Before we get started and name some fantastic people here, anything else you guys would like to say, Markshire? Yes. That was definitely like the business casual, tech CEO look from Hat, which is pretty fantastic. I don't think anything I tried to pull off would look poor in comparisons. I feel no need to try and compete with that high level, cleanliness, dressing. Are you muted?
And if
I
it's
do
not
not believe
muted
you.
on Discord.
Are you muted? Hello?
Oh, chat's saying I'm muted.
No, you're not. They're lying. They're liars.
Right.
Touche.
Well, no, I'll just continue. Just to, echo a lot of what Hat said. This is a very large class, and I do think it's indicative of like all the growth that we've seen over the past year or so. The standard for the Hall of Fame, it's not maybe like other sports leagues where we only induct people after they've retired. It doesn't really make a ton of sense for what we're doing. But we do really look for sustained success, either as a player or as a captain or as a contributor over a very long period of time. And it's been a while since our last one. And after kind of changing the criteria around to reflect what THL has brought today, I look at especially like the past 2 years over the pandemic, like THL has really grown a lot, and that would not be possible without many people, but especially all of the players that we're inducting today. So yeah, I'm really looking forward into just getting into it and being able to show off who's here.
Well, I accidentally did mute you before. I apologize if there's something that you would like to say. No, he's
That's
thumbs up.
okay.
he gives us the brushy thumbs up. All right, why don't we start with our first inductee? I'm gonna have this announced by Markshire here. This is it's a guy who probably needs no real introduction. Everybody around THL knows who he is. He shines bright on a regular basis in all of our league. So our first inductee in 2022, Bobson.
Bobson. So I'll go ahead and start just by reading off. I don't know if you're also going to show this on the screen, but I'll read off the actual inductions written by a couple of our community members for Bobson. So first off, from Dr. Fish, Fish said, the man known as Mr. F2L has been an outstanding player for so long, despite maybe being more well known as a captain and excellent team builder for his many teams over the seasons and over the years of THL. Bobson has a great track record across Legacy, Hero, and Pro as a player and captain, winning 2 Pro Series championships and appearing in Legacy and Hero Series finals as recent as Season 16 of Hero. I'm proud to have called him my captain for a full year of seasons and to have learned essentially lessons in Hearthstone and THL. Indeed, a legend of our league, Bobson has more than earned his spot in the Hall of Fame. So for all of these, we reached out to, various, players and community members who have worked with the players being inducted. So that was from Dr. Fish. For Rebob, we actually have one more that I'll read off now. So this is from Marty B. Rebob has been an incredibly active captain during his time in THL with some of the most outstanding prep work I've ever seen. He's constantly helping his teams. He always captains multiple teams, making his efforts seem even more impressive. He prepares with deck lists, matchup info, and more. The work he does for his teams go beyond what is asked for in a captain, to the point where he elevates his teams to their maximum potential. In terms of success, his teams usually speak for themselves. Rebob has rarely ever let his team miss playoffs and reach the finals on multiple occasions. Making the finals once could be considered a fluke, but bringing multiple teams with entirely different players to the finals isn't. His presence in the community is widely known as well. From the rivalry with Diamond to his work on the THL blog, Rebob has a huge impact in bringing a diverse and connected culture to the community. And again, that is from Marty B. And then just to highlight a couple of his stats. So Legacy, he's played for 11 seasons, 56% overall win rate. In Hero, 10 seasons of play, overall 51% win rate. And in Pro, 7 seasons, 59.6%. So round that up to 60% win rate. In Pro, crossover player of the most recent THL season that happened, 2 championships in Pro, 1 championship in Wild EU. Rebobson, so that's it for the actual induction. I do have a few things to say about Rebob. So Rebob has been in THL for a very long time. A long time ago. I mean, it must be like at least like 3-4 years ago now at this point. Durden and I decided to make a hero team called TBH Jude. We played that for like 1 season, then we started a pro team, played for that. Then, I stepped down as captain, kind of stopped playing for a while. That team was kind of like a lot of people stepped in and really started building like more teams around this like, initial player base that we got. And then I mean, leading up to this, like now, like F2L is what you know today. Rebob has really, taken what was initially maybe 1 or 2 teams and built this up to like F2L. We haven't gotten to team reveals yet, but I mean, just from people who have been here, right? F2L has teams in almost every series. They're consistently strong, winning championships. If they're not winning championships, definitely making finals. And it really just means so much about how Rebob has built up a community, not just having one team and captaining it well, but getting multiple teams, being able to coordinate teams where he's the captain, maybe he's not the captain, and just building them and just creating this culture and creating this community of players who are bought in to THL as a whole. It's really huge. And I mean, he's also doing it, while living in Europe this whole time, mainly captaining players who are based, in North America. So, I mean, I really can't say enough about how much Rebob has, made his place in THL, not only as a player and as a captain, but as a community builder. And yeah, that's all I'll say now, because I've said a lot about Rebob. So I'll open it up to the rest of y'all.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots to say about Rebob. And you said, most of it, the nomination from Fish and the induction from and Marty says all of it as well. I can only say, as someone who actually captained him for about a year, Legacy, you were, built the team. It things where I had not captain in Legacy before, and I was looking at players that I wanted to bring onto the team, and Robinson was right at the top of my list, and he was a great PR bargain at the time, not so much anymore, thanks to how well he's played. But when I was thinking of players I wanted to play with, I knew obviously his pedigree as far as what type of player. In no way did he disappoint at all. There as a constant drive, always there to help prep, plays to the that, and to be one of the best captains in THL. Just a great person, exemplifies what a all around THL member.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with you guys. Just a very well-deserving player, THL fixture. They call him Mr. F2L for a reason. He's just omnipresent with one of the most omnipresent, team names in all of THL, and almost feels like this was a bit overdue. But congratulations and welcome to the Hall of Fame, Rebobson.
And Rebob pointed out that he can go to sleep now. Yes, I put you first because I knew that the timing wise would not work as well for you if we made you wait. But yes, that was actually calculated. You're welcome, and I'm glad you appreciate that. So yes, feel free to go to sleep. We'll catch you up on March Madness tomorrow. Whenever you wake up. So right. Well, that was an exciting start here, but we're not even close to done. So as Hat mentioned, this is a large class, and we're going to continue. Another person who is just I'm actually gonna read this one because this one's very close to me, but you know what, I'm just gonna announce it. I'm gonna read it, and then we'll talk about this person later. Just the hard work they do. So I would like to congratulate and our number 2 inductee, not in any order, but just our second inductee of the evening, is going to be Lotus Knight. So as a content contributor, he has been phenomenal, as you all know. So I would like to read, this is from Desharmo. As a content creator, Lotus Knight has been invaluable to the content. He operated and casted numerous shows and events over many seasons. Hearth Center, Soulstone, Wildin' Out, Maniac Monday, Family Feud, just to name a few. Lotus Knight has made himself available for numerous last-minute operator needs. He is always happy to do it, always volunteers himself, all of the hard work that's necessary to make these events happen. Without Lotus, THL content would not be the same. Content contributions are above and beyond reproach, and the Hall of Fame induction very much deserved. Again, that was from Desharmo, but it says it perfectly. I completely agree with the whole thing. Just a little bit factual for Lotus Knight. He started content back in October 2019. So he's been doing it for close to 2.5 years now, and he's just only been getting better and better as time's gone on. He started co-hosting with me on Hearth Center when I first started the show. He was not a member of it, but he jumped in a little bit later. Marshall, I know that you worked with him a bit there as well, and he ran Hearth. He's been running Hearth Center since Ron left it as well. Like, this is like a Hearth Center reunion here, but Lotus Knight is the man that keeps going right now. And he's been doing such a phenomenal job, just seeing his confidence grow in both his skills as an op, his skills as a content creator, a leader. We mentioned he did Family Feud. We didn't even talk about duos. That was another Lotus Knight idea. He has so many ideas. You guys have no idea how often he comes to me with a plan or an idea, something he wants to do, and then he goes out and does it. And that's exactly what THL is all about. Is just doing something because you love to do it and you want to do it and you want to bring something to everybody. And Lotus Knight has been that from day one, and I appreciate him immensely for everything he is like. He is everyone thinks about Saku too, because Saku, obviously Hall of Famer, fantastic stream up. Lotus Knight is just like Saku, but quieter, and you don't know what he looks like. That's
You're talking about he looks like Gurr.
he did.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
I think we all know at this point. We've seen every stream that Lotus has put on. I think we
Yes.
know. Yeah, I mean, Lotus just does so much in terms of organizing things. I think he started out just like maybe doing one or two things in content. I'm not sure if it was just in blogs or maybe being a caster or stream off, but it's really to the point where like not only is he operating and casting multiple shows, he's also organizing it. He also getting people together, making sure that we have operators and casters, keeping things on schedule. It's so huge, and just in terms of his ideas, right? I mean, Dade, like I'm sure, like yeah, he probably messages you with a ton of things, but like the thing about Lotus is he's not afraid to just like throw like something out there, just like come up with some crazy idea, and then he will be able to actually execute it. And I mean that's exactly what we need in THL is just more ideas for content, more ideas for like how do we engage people, what kind of one-off tournaments can we run to bring people in, what will help keep our current players like continuing to play in the league and continue to be engaged. He will come up with the ideas and then actually execute on them. He'll go out and be the stream operator, the caster. We'll go ahead and gather people to do it. It's huge, and I mean just yeah, like it's just everything that you said. Like Lotus just does so much in terms of content, and that's what keeps people, I think, coming back to THL and continuing to be engaged. And he's just very deserving of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, content is one of those often thankless things, especially the stream hopping that like does so often and so. If you're not doing it just because you love it, then you're not gonna do it for very long. And he obviously loves to do it. He's been doing it consistently now for 2 years. By far one of the most tenured people. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Lotus is incredible. I mean, I had the privilege to work with him a bunch on Heart Center, and just seeing how many ideas he has all of the time, it blows you away. He's just so good at this, and you can really tell his passion for it. Beyond that, though, interestingly enough, he easily could get inducted as a player too.
Very true.
He's that level of just all around great. But I I want to add that he was doing all of this while he was getting a PhD. Like this man is he's on another level. And I'm so happy to see you in the Hall of Fame, Lotus. Congratulations, buddy. That's so awesome. Super proud of you.
Well, it's been exciting so far, so why don't we keep the excitement level up and announce our third inductee? This is a person who has been hardened in the fires of combat in every series in THL, and they have been a phenomenal player several seasons, very deserving. Our next inductee to the Hall of Fame is Agent PWE. Come on, take it away.
Oh, curveball. Oh man, I thought Markshire was reading this. I would be happy to read Agent PWE. He has been a fixture almost from the very beginning when he joined. And let me find this right up here from Pasca. Uh, so Agent PWE started playing in the NPH tournaments from the very beginning, before Skittles or myself, of course being Pasca, who did this write up. But in 2018, he was not winning much because he played mostly meme combo decks. Since then, he has become the most try-hard of us all, the one who tells us straight up when we're about to bring a lineup that's not optimal. And nowadays, he qualifies for the Masters Tour consistently. In THL, Agent PWE has been the cornerstone of Team No Pros here, not missing a single season of Hero since we joined. He has also played in every single format, series, and seasonal event. He's a captain in Pro Series and reigning champion in Battlegrounds. Looks like it's easier to go all the way when I'm not on the team. This being Pasca. I'm lucky to have had the chance to play alongside you this much, Agent PWE, and your THL Hall of Fame induction is more than deserved. We've got a little bit of stats here too. In Hero, he had a staggering 66.2% win rate, 45 and 23 overall game score with 10-win seasons, and of course, a Battlegrounds championship to go along with his other accolades. PWE, just an incredible player and very well deserving of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, I think like looking at PWE, right? Like the thing that really stands out to me is just like Hero Series is something that a lot of people talk about. I feel like almost every season when we go over rosters, people talk about how difficult Hero Series about the top seeds are always stacked. And this is really a format that like LHS, like we don't really have DreamHacks anymore. Like it's not, no one's playing LHS and Masters Tour qualifiers. So there's a much smaller group of people who are actually trying to understand the format from a strategic perspective. So like having 66% win rate across such a large period of time in an LHS series is so impressive, and I think really speaks to PWE's just overall skill level and overall ability to understand the format that he's playing in.
So I would like to just briefly touch on the BG Championship, as for right now it's the last one ever because we don't have an active BG series. And that it's such a different, because an auto battler obviously it's very different than any sort of standard series. It just shows his flexibility as to be so good at that aspect of Hearthstone and also be such a great standard player. So I was lucky enough to be on his team in the season event last season, kind of get a brief glimpse of how he preps and the way he thinks, and it's not shocking based on the outside view of his record and his performance. Very, very thorough prepper, very active, very deserved. Thank you to Casca for the right. Very, very deserving. Not only we talked about Hero quite a bit, but just as a player across the board.
Yeah, like primarily he made his way to the Hall of Fame through Hero, but he is probably one of the most well-rounded players in THL. Just
Absolutely.
every series he's in, he's incredible. And that blows me away that someone can be so versatile in so many series. So just super impressive.
Congrats to Peter. We'll move on to our next inductee. This one might even surprise Light being a member of the induction committee. This is I mean, you might say rigged, but I think anybody with any sort of experience at THL will completely agree this player being inducted. Welcome to the Hall of Fame, Based. Big important induction here. Based, obviously a board member, but as a player first and such a great community member. Let's go ahead and
All right. So the write-up came in from Lotus Knight, a fellow Hall of Fame inductee of this class. Let's see. Lotus writes, I think I was one of Base's first THL opponents. It was a mysterious challenger series, which Base faced me in the semis. We had actually already played in an earlier round, and Base won both times. Big surprise. A few weeks later, we started casting Schoolstone together. We played together in Spies That Flies, I think, one season, and Base was our 3 seed, because that was fair. It has always been great to play with and against Based, be it on Brushy Tuna or in Hero semis. Our series have been very competitive, and I'm always looking forward to face a friend. Based has also been a pillar in THL, known as the fastest board member to answer DMs, creating series and formats she barely plays, like Battlegrounds, building tournaments for the community, and always being around for content. Thank you for all of the great times, Based, and congratulations on Hall of Fame. This write-up brought to you by Lotus Knight.
another fantastic induction, very deserving. Something I've talked about before, and like when I think of a player that should be inducted in Hall of Fame, I think of a player that when I see them on the schedule, that I know I'm about to play them, I get that moment of kind of dread where I'm thinking I need to be at my best to have a chance against this player. And all 4 of the players so far, by the way, have been that. I just want to say, for me, as a decent PR. No, I'm not obviously on some people's level, but like, it's crazy how good players are, and Based is no exception with. And I will say from from a content perspective, she's helped out tremendously doing the podcast, being involved in decision making, a lot of stuff, and as a board member from day one, has jumped feet first into the pool, ready to help, always offering up opinions, trying to make THL the best they can possibly. Just another all around very deserving.
And I mean, we aren't inducting based on merit of all of the other things that she's done, which probably are worthy in and of themselves, but just on the strength of how good she has been as a player. Let's not forget she's won crossover player of the season. She's been, I think, runner up at least once, if not twice, and been in the running for it multiple times. Just we don't have the stats in front of us, but absolutely dominant win rates that she's posted in so many series. So just a terror for anyone to face. Just super, super strong player.
Yeah, and we can be sure that once we do actually, get these all of these Hall of Fame write-ups posted on the website, we will have the stats also. I mean, based as someone who I think just her first season in the league was already like just cemented herself as one of the best players. Like the first season or two, I remember her. I feel like being at the top of the 1 seed, and was also immediately contributing to content. I don't remember off the top of my head what the blog article series, but she definitely was contributing a lot to the blog. I think had like a full series her first or second season, and just having someone that comes in and just immediately starts winning a lot and also contributing to content is how you know that they're I think really special community member of THL and player. Donde, I mean, you already talked about like her, coming in as a board member. She's always online. She's super responsive. Kind of just like wants to help out with everything, and also really helped spearhead BGs, which I mean, we talked about another player with the BG Championship, and I think we're probably not completely done with BGs in THL. I know we have sort of a pause right now, but just doing that, working out with running tournaments like Maniac Monday, Based kind of just immediately hit the ground running, started helping out with stuff, just as she did when she joined THL. Just really has done so much, just not only in terms of like contributing as a board member and like helping with the community, but also as a player. Just a really great addition to the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. I mean, can't say enough nice things about Babe. You know, that's and she's like so modest about everything too. She won't she'll say she doesn't deserve the fact that I had no idea that this was happening, which I always enjoy. Really truly surprise people with their induction, which is great. So congrats, Based, and you absolutely deserve it, believe it or not. Let's go ahead and let's continue because we're not done yet. We're not done, not even close. Let's go ahead and talk about another player here. A truly like a shining, like a gem of an example of what it is to be in THL.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like sparkling. So let's go ahead and congratulate and welcome to the Hall of Fame, CMAC.
So yeah, CMAC in the Hall of Fame. I'll be honest with y'all. This induction message, I'm going to read it in full. It came in super late, so I definitely might miss one or two things. But let's start off. Greetings. CMAC has been called many things in this community: albatross, priest, enjoyer, back to back to back to back to back Mac, the teacher of the worst class I've ever taken in my life, who will answer every question with, I guess, that sounds right, or, yeah, making it apparent he doesn't know what the subject he is to teach. C-Snack with 6 C's, though only behind his back. But now he can call himself the most unique and coveted prize of all, a Hall of Famer. My first experience with C-Mac was as a caster. He was playing Mally Druid against Freeze Mage in Game 5 of the match. His opponent played a randomly generated mirror entity, which severely punished the subsequent Tempo Mally. I remember saying some not so nice things about his play in the cast. After reflecting on my actions, I reached out to C-Mac to apologize for my overly harsh words. The response I received won my eternal respect. No, I'm pretty sure it was justified. I thought you did an excellent job. This interaction is a prime example of why C-Mac is a THL Hall of Famer. If someone asked me to describe C-Mac in 3 words, the 3 I would choose are loyal, competitive, and logical. Loyal, because I'm not sure you can find an individual that puts as much effort into engaging with people he cares about as C-Mac. Competitive, because no one worked harder at refining his craft and was never too busy for a scrim or just to sit into a VC and talk about Hearthstone. Logic comes to C-Mac naturally as a math professor and genius of the game. He's able to reflect and evaluate a position to optimize his chances of winning turn after turn, game after game, and match after match. A skill which has been showcased through his incredible consistency over the years. You don't become one of the highest Masters Tour qualifier pack earners ever without it. C-Mac also chose to bestow upon me one of the most meaningful honors I have ever received in his PhD dissertation. He mentioned me as someone who helped keep his sanity throughout his schoolwork. This feeling was definitely mutual, as his memes of the destruction of pet cards such as Albatross kept me laughing for hours. I could probably look up and find what its lifetime win rates in each of the series are, but I won't. I don't care. C-Mac is a legend league, simply for being an incredibly witty and fun person to be around. Oh, and he also won a title 5 seasons in a row. That might have something to do with it too. Greetings, Justin and Corbin. So we've got C-Mac here. It's always just in time, and Corbin, who I believe is Bill Snyder.
Yes.
And a couple stats here, quick. C-Mac has won 5 championships in a row, 2 in Pro and 3 in Hero. That is a feat that I don't believe has ever been replicated by any other THL player. And in Pro, he has a 59% overall win rate, 52 and 36 over 9 seasons. That's I'll just open it up to Donde and Ron to say C-Mac.
Yeah, I mean the numbers speak for themselves. Dominant player, all series, Pro has been one of our absolute toughest tests for any player over the last year and a half, and C-Mac has defeated that test over and over. I actually did not know he was a math professor, but I guess it's not surprising. You know, it just definitely makes you a better card player, that's for sure. But thank you to Always Just in Time and Bill Snyder, aka Corbin, for the fantastic induction. Also, a little, I appreciate the humor, but it's just cool to see that a guy like C-Mac and everybody we talked about so far have such impacts on the players, the people that they interact with on a daily basis. I think that's really what it's about. So, C-Mac, I don't know if I don't think I'll ever beat him. For some reason, I can never. It doesn't. I know he's bringing Control Warrior. I don't care. I lose anyway. It doesn't matter. He's just that good. So, congrats, C-Mac. The numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, gotta agree there too, wholeheartedly. Just C-Mac, an absolute monster. Every time you look at your matchups and you see who you're gonna face, you're like, oh god, oh no, here we go. And also, I think he would be a first ballot meme lord Hall of Famer as well. Just absolutely killing it with the perfect GIF or response or copy pasta like every single time. I know that doesn't get you into the Hall of Fame, but bonus points just right there, because really genuinely funny guy and awesome player. Really well deserved entry into the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, we definitely do style points.
Style points
Absolutely,
for sure, in spades.
For sure, style points very much a factor. So this is this has been a killer class so far, but I think we can make it even better, guys. Right? Can we do better than this? Should we add another player?
Let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
I mean, another one. I guess we should.
Another one. and another one. No, we're not adding DJ Khaled to THL Hall of Fame. I doubt he would accept. But we are going to add another person who has no idea that they're getting inducted, because they too, we kept this under wraps from them as well. Welcome to the Hall of Fame, Charmo.
Oh my goodness. All right.
What?
Yes.
This write up brought to you by Lotus Knight here. All right. Well, hold on. There's been a clerical mistake. Can Mark Shire get a recount going on in here? Are you sure this was meant to be someone else? Like maybe giving Avi his second Hall of Fame? You know, silence echoing through the stream. Everyone at home can hear it or can't. Technically, it's how silence works. Well, I guess I'll say something then. I have no idea when I met DeSharmo, but I remember how it went. I was playing him on a Sunday or Saturday. It's been 4 years. Stop trying to get me to doubt myself. Afternoon. It was so. I was so scared. I was so scared because everyone was telling me how good he was and how I stood no chance. I don't know how, but I did manage to win that match. Wow, way to go, Lotus. Make DeSharmo's induction about you. Ever since then, I met a crazy good hero player who has worked very hard for everything he's put his mind into and was always looking to become even better. It's a blast to be his friend, though. I've learned a lot from DeSharmo. His extremely attentive captaining on the unknown spoke volumes, even when I was a very absent sub. We kind of captained a team together for 3 seasons, and it was some of the best seasons I ever had in THL. He even played on Brushy Tuna with us for a few seasons and was a crucial part of the team. We organized duos series and duos tourney together. I know nobody remembers those. We duoed for Maniac Mondays for quite a few seasons, and we had 3 seasons as co-casters on Hearth Center. I guess it's been a while. Before Ron gets emotional, I just want to thank you for everything and say this award was extremely deserved. Brought to you by Lotus Knight. And yeah, I gotta say, I am so happy to see DeSharmo in the Hall of Fame. He's been an incredible player for a long time, excellent captain as well, board member, fixture in THL community, and a good friend as well. So just super happy to see that happen for you. Congrats, DeSharmo.
Yeah, it's like the Lotus Knight show tonight. The people he nominated, he's getting in himself. But no, I joke. But DeSharmo is a fantastic inductee in the Hall of Fame. Someone that we talked about inducting him for a while, but it was hard to pin down like a specific thing that we wanted to induct him for, just because he is involved in content. Great job with that. He is a great captain. He is a great player, and like it was just kind of the overall body of work that we felt like with DeSharmo, it really just needed to be, represented as like I know he's not one crossover player, but just like a crossover inductee. He kind of embodies what our hat talked about at the top of the show. He was just he's very instrumental in everything that we've done the last few years as far as THL is concerned, and building THL. He's always involved in the off-season events, the midweek events, the Maniac Mondays. It's a great overall guy, very dedicated, very deserving.
Yeah, so with DeSharmo, I'll never forget the first time I played DeSharmo. I think it was his first season. I played him in Hero, and he queued the wrong deck in LHS. I think it's that he won and then queued a different deck, and I was like, no, you can't do that. And he was like, oh, but I've been doing that all season. I didn't know. And it's just, and so he got a game loss because of that, because that's what's in our rules. But then he still went on and beat me. I don't even know if I won a game or not. I think my only win might have been the game loss that he got because he queued incorrectly. And it was just so funny that this was like deep into the season. And here was a guy, his record was like, he was like 5-1 or 6-1 at this point. And he'd gotten this way, not even like fully understanding what the format it was we're playing. And he was just rolling his opponents. He was just playing whatever he wanted and just destroying them. He was just probably playing the same deck, winning every single game with it, pretty much every time. And when you go back, I don't remember when DeSharmo initially joined. It was, I think, at least 3, maybe 4 years ago. It was before we actually had the crossover player award, but if we didn't have it, I think he would have won it. And I think he either won or came very close, like once we initiated having the crossover award. he's always been a very strong Hearthstone player, and then I mean has come into the board, and I think Donde, you probably already said a lot of what I had to say. Coming up with Maniac Monday, trying to come up with more ideas for how can we help recruit players from outside of THL. How can we make sure we have good player engagement across our current players? He's really done so much, and is just another great example of someone who's not only just a very strong Hearthstone player, but has done so much, as a board member and also in terms of building the community as well.
Yeah, community is really important, and Desharmo is a main focus. One of his main focuses is making sure that community members remain engaged and having things outside of just our regular season. He does a great job with that, and then on top of all that, he's just a great dude to talk to and a great Hearthstone player, which is really, like I said, everything that we're looking for in Hall of Fame. So congrats to Desharmo. He's too busy with his orchestra to be in Twitch. Yes, Mark Shire. And as somebody mentioned, our second teacher in a row, unbeknownst to me, because I did not know CMAC was a teacher, but here we are. So yeah, it's almost like teachers are good at like math, logic, and just kind of thinking things out, And of course, prep, helping other players with
organizing things, yeah. Helping people learn things,
not freaking out on children, or if we'll,
true.
I will say that's not 100% true. That's okay.
It's okay, Donde. Your wife will have her place in the Hall of Fame one day.
Yeah, not the Hearthstone Hall. Stopped playing like 4 years ago.
Oh, unlucky.
So we got a next person coming up here who did not stop playing 4 years ago. I think the rest of the players in THL probably wish they did stop playing 4 years ago, because they might actually have won some games in this time that this person won instead, because they just win all the games. Yes, Fish, we have another person to induct, another player, and
more. Oh my God,
more players. This person, he does captain as well, but this is mostly for their absolute dominance on the board, I guess you see, in the tavern. Welcome, my favorite New England-based named player in THL, Neji Boston. I know he has nothing to do with Boston, but would love to rep New England. So Neji, Mr. PR, Mr. Best PR of all time. Ron, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, how could we not have Neji make it to the Hall of Fame? He just immediately hit the ground running when he entered THL. So let's dive into his write-up here, brought to you by Marty B. With this Hall of Fame class, we have a very special player that we feel is one of the most deserving in THL's history. Despite all the 5-seed jokes and banter, Neji Boston is genuinely one of the most formidable players we've ever witnessed in THL. He's been dominant in all series, holding winning records in Legacy, Hero, Pro, and Wild, awarding him consecutive crossover awards, and he has 3 championship wins in the Wild Series alone. Legacy, however, is where Neji really shines. He's managed an unthinkable 36-6 record in his 5 seasons there, and in the process has become the highest true PR player in the history of Legacy. His presence and skill gives every team he's a part of a free 4 points week in and week out. Few players can guarantee such dominant performances every season, and Neji Boston deserves every ounce of recognition for it with his Hall of Fame induction. Again, brought to you by Marty B. And here's just a quick little rundown on some of the stats we've compiled for him. Legacy is an 85.71% win rate, highest PR in Legacy history. Pro is a 59.52 win rate. As a pro captain, he sported a 60.54% win rate, a wild win rate of 72.22. He has 3 wild championships, 1 pro championship, and this one I think honestly might be the most impressive. It's either this or the legacy record. 3 consecutive crossover players titles. It's not just that he won 3. He won 3 in a row. Just absolutely insane. Congratulations, Neji Boston. I mean, it was only a matter of time before this guy made Hall of Fame. Just incredible.
Yeah, I'm just going to repeat the win rate again for Legacy. 85.7%.
For those in the back who haven't heard.
Like, just in case you missed it or somebody's mic cut out, that is absolutely absurd. 36. Like, somebody in chat mentioned it was a hyper. I think, yeah, he loses.
Diamond, can you repeat the hero win?
No.
Okay, you know what?
We're gonna talk about that.
I wanted to talk about that because I want to say he did struggle in Hero this past season, and he's still positive in Hero. So that just goes to show how he can drop some games and still be considered one of the best players in THL. It doesn't matter.
And by the way, for those curious, since you did wonder how many crossover players we've had, we started doing crossover player in season 6, but there was no crossover for 7 and 8. And then season 9 and on, we've had crossover players. Believe it or not, there was one other player that did win 3 times and consecutively at that, and that was obviously in season 10, 11, and 12.
Yep.
Neji winning in season 16, 17, and 18, and we're up to most recently concluding season 21 or 20? I forget.
21, I believe.
21.
Yeah.
So we're at well, math is hard, but that many.
I
trust. I think C-Max in chat. He's a math professor. Tell me how many total crossover.
He should know. He should know. No, Neji, I mean, so honestly, like I read through this write-up, but I did not see, like, I guess I didn't see the stats, or maybe that got added later. I mean, 3 consecutive crossover player titles is insane. When you think about that, you think about winning crossover player, pretty much means you have to be playing in a minimum of 3 series. That's 3 matches every single week that you are having to schedule, that you are having to prep for, thinking about your decks, and then being able to actually execute and play well and win almost every single game. That's insane. I mean, so Negi, like, I mean, we already mentioned his legacy win rate. Not only 85%, he's the highest PR in legacy history. I remember when we first started the Hall of Fame, Slimsh, who is a name that I'm not sure everyone in chat will know, but he's someone who was inducted in, he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. And at the time, I think he was, 700 something, and we said, like, oh yeah, Slimsh, like, I mean, 700 PR, that's crazy. Like, he's the highest PR player. It'll take so much to pass him. And Neji has just blown past that in legacy. I mean, just in terms of, like, I don't know, his Hearthstone ability and ability to perform, like, in legacy, like, it's crazy just looking at all of these win rates, like how far above he is, above like almost everyone else. It's insane, and he's obviously completely deserving of the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. He basically sits at the top of legacy, like he's at the top of Mount Olympus. Everything runs through him essentially in legacy. And there's no player more deserving currently for their dominance. This is it's truly fantastic. The quality of players, the quality of people that we've seen tonight in general has been fantastic, and I'm not ready to be done with it. I don't know about you guys. I'm not ready.
Let's keep going.
I'm not ready.
Let's get some more in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we can do another. We can do one more. So this is a player, might say, like, with how they're not the longest standing member of THL, but they're sort of like, kind of like a gem in the rough, so to speak. Like, we didn't really know what we had at first with this person, and they've quickly proven themselves to be absolutely a phenomenal player, and just member of THL. So welcome to the Hall of Fame. May know him as NHL NJ Fan 1, but it's Marty B. And I'm just happy that name stuck, because that was like a complete one-off joke that I made one night. Because his name was so many letters that I didn't want to say it anymore, and like the fact that he just embraced it made me so happy. So it's to me, it's like my crowning achievement as far as content is concerned, that I just made a nickname that stuck so hard. But go ahead and take it away.
Was this in one of the Among Us games, or was it just like something completely different?
No, it was before Among Us. It was
curious.
Yeah, no,
Even before that.
I believe it was on a reveal
Pre-pandemic.
stream. It was a reveal stream when he first
Wow.
played with his first season THL. I was reading the roster off, and I was like NHL, NJ, and I was like, that's just too much. That's too much. And like the first New Jersey Devil I could think of was Martin Brodeur. And so I'm like, you're Marty B from now on, and then he just went with it. So yeah, that's cool. I love it.
Dude, I also remember like one of the first times I actually talked to Marty was just asking him like, should I call you NHLNJ fan or do you go by something else? And this has stuck, so I'll just get right into it. There is a lot from Marty here. So to start off, we have a write-up by 6J. Marty B / NHL NJ Fan 1 is a pillar of the THL community. He has served as THL's resident stats guru, captained the powerhouse team F2L Viridian, and most recently joined the THL board of directors. Fuck Aeon. As a player, he has consistently performed at a highly competitive level, 75% lifetime wild win rate, which on its own is an impressive feat. However, his success as a captain has been truly extraordinary. Beating his wild team is a feat to be celebrated because of the extraordinary team he assembled and continues to lead. Between his own impressive play, his organization of data to keep F2L ahead of the meta, and the team building skills that let him assemble a one-of-a-kind roster, he has made F2L Viridian a force to be reckoned with. His skills as an organizer and collaborator extend beyond F2L. Marty B's efforts paved the way for an EU Wild Series, support F2L's continued success across all series, and ultimately make THL a more exciting place to be. I cannot think of a better player, captain, and friend to see inducted into the THL Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Marty. You've earned it. That again is from 6J. We have one more here from Bobson. Marty came to F2L when we were just a pro team and we were just considering fielding teams in other series. Takshi suggested him, who he had played on ladder a bunch, as somebody who should captain the Wild series, and at the time I didn't have the slightest clue what Wild was or who to recruit. He came in, and it was pretty immediately apparent that he was a guy who knew his stuff and was very well acquainted and respected in the Wild community, putting together the majority of the team that exists as F2L Viridian today very early on. Since the Halicon days of March 2020, he's more than proved his worth as a legacy and pro teammate, winning EU Wild Captain, resident stats guru, as well as branching out to content, the board of directors, tournament organizing, and everything in between. I know full well if there's ever an issue that needs my attention and I happen to be AFK, I can trust my vice captain to get it sorted. He's an integral part of our team and has helped us grow massively, as well as a phenomenal player and captain in his own right. I honestly couldn't think of anyone who deserves this recognition more. Congratulations, man. You've earned it. And that is from Reed Bobson. And I'll just add some of my, personal thoughts on Marty. Marty is really just someone who stands out as really building up not only Wild, but also, Wild EU, EU Pro, just really like all of our EU series and like reaching out to that EU community. He's someone who, we brought him on to kind of help when we were just trying to start having an alpha season of Wild EU. And, I think that went well. I know we didn't go back and have another Wild EU season, but it definitely ran smoothly. And kind of after that, we were just talking in the board and we're like, why isn't Marty a board member? Like if we want to expand to EU, we want to, continue to expand to Wild, like Marty should just be a board member. And we brought him on and he's just, I mean, it's kind of crazy because he's really just kind of doing almost the same things that he was before he was a board member. He's still coming up with the ideas, being very active, helping with administrative work. And he was doing really all of this, even before he was a board member, but he's now, gone and done so much more. And Marty really stands out to me. And I know like this, general concept I think can apply to a lot of players in a Hall of Fame. But when you think about THL, when you think about the fact that we're a volunteer only league, we don't have any money involved. There's a lot of people who can identify a problem and say that, this is a problem or this is something that we can improve upon in the league, or this is something, we can do to expand the league. Then there's kind of, there's even less people who can say, okay, I actually have an idea that can solve it, and even less that's like, okay, this is a good idea that can actually solve this problem. And then it's an even smaller percentage who can actually execute on that idea. The idea that actually solves the problem and be able to execute it, be able to take ownership of it and say, yes, I can do this. I know that we need to do this. We need to do XYZ to get this done. I will do this myself, or I will take ownership of getting these people to execute on the idea. Marty can do all three of these things extremely well. And it's why he's been so successful as a player, as a captain, and as a board member. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
I think you said it all. That was awesome.
I don't know what else we have to say.
That really encapsulates just everything about Marty, how incredibly he does in everything, and also like the level of commitment he has. I mean, he did Hearth Center like at 4 a.m. or something for him in Sweden.
Yes,
It just unbelievable guy, total class act, and super deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. And really proud of you, Marty. Congrats.
Yeah, just anybody who spent any amount of time talking to him, you can tell you're dealing with somebody who's very intelligent, very dedicated, and just a joy to talk to and just bounce ideas off of, play games with. You know, even if it's not Hearthstone. He's not great Among Us, by the way, but we do still love him. Okay. But I'm just kidding, Marty. No.
There's no Among Us stats. How's
no
he supposed to succeed?
Oh, there are stats. They're just not here. We didn't want to embarrass him that way, but no, he's such a good guy. It's totally deserving, and I know it's it's another board member, but there's a reason, the people that are so involved in THL gravitate towards being board members. They gravitate towards being board members because of that dedication, and it's kind of like the end result rather than a means to like getting into the Hall of Fame. Like, it's just natural that the people that are the most dedicated, the most involved, end up getting involved in other things like and getting involved in administration. So shout out to Marty. True. And thank you for all that you have done and continue. Please don't quit.
So should we end it here? Should we just jump right on to March Madness?
Everyone's talking about March Madness. I think that's a good idea to do that now. I mean, I didn't have any more. Did you? Did you have anything else?
I don't know. I feel like we're missing just like one thing. I can't put my finger on it.
I don't know.
It seems like it, but
it can't be that important.
Hey, I mean, I'm looking at chat.
Button.
March Madness. Let's go.
All right.
I mean,
we'll stop trolling
I think
him.
Someone is telling us.
We've been trolling him all night with the various diamond puns and whatnot, but it's not March Madness time. It's Diamond Hall of Fame induction time. This one means a lot to me personally, as Diamond has been such a phenomenal player, captain, and also in content. Like, and anytime, obviously content is my area. So anybody who has been very involved in that, I take notice. And Diamond he's like, he consistently checks me on things a lot of times, like, hey, you didn't mention this, or you didn't bring this up. Did you want to do this? And it's kind of like having that little reminder in your ear, which is awesome, because there's just 90 things to remember at any given time, and I can't remember. Thank you, Diamond, for that on a personal level. I'm saying things out loud. I actually wrote your induction, so I'm just gonna read what I wrote, because like let's just use. So, Diamond's THL transformation is much like that of his namesake. He entered, as many of us do, quietly and as a player looking to jump into competitive Hearthstone. It didn't take long for him to find his footing as a captain. It seems like ages ago that he was indeed my captain, but he was very supportive and encouraging. Once he got rid of me, he was able to really start to shine, notching winning season after winning season as one of the shining jewels of THL's captain rank. Unsatisfied with only leading, he has even more recently become a hardened warrior as a player, becoming unbreakable on the tavern. To sum up Diamond's THL career, I would use the word prolific. He is everywhere, not only lending his experience as a captain to his players, but also welcoming and directing new players on how to get involved. That makes him THL's captain, in my eyes. And I do mean that. I think that anybody who's been around the Discord has seen Diamond. And, he jumps in, he's helpful to all the new players. He's a fantastic captain who, it's reflected in the fact that he's got 6 total championships if you include this most recent season, which you do, because it happened. 2 championships in the same season twice. I don't know anybody else that's done that, player captain. Maybe it's happened before, but it's certainly worth mentioning. As a player, here's his stats: 7 seasons, 54.46% win rate as captain, 1 championship, +1 as a player. Hero, 5 seasons, 51.27%, 1 championship as a player. Pro 5 seasons, 59.83% with 1 championship. These are all prior to the season. We didn't have the stats didn't get aggregated yet for this season. So this is all before this season. It's only going up. So congrats, Diamond. You deserve it, man.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see Diamond in the Hall of Fame. He was my very first Hero Series captain, actually, my introduction to Hero Series. And he's just been incredible from the very beginning, engaging with community, being just so ever present as a captain and a player. Really, really incredible teams that you've seen him put together. And I mean, how can we not mention? By the way, this guy carried Eddie to a TESPA title. Like, come on, gotta be Hall of Fame.
I knew I missed something in my write up.
We had to we had to mention that. We can't ever let that go.
Oh man. Yes, absolutely worth mentioning.
So yeah, I have a couple of things to say about Diamond. So at the Hall of Fame committee, we are very focused on stats. So just like almost all of our players end up being inducted in as a player rather than being as a captain or contributor. That's kind of just like it's a much higher bar, and there aren't that many people who reach that. So we end up looking at their actual stats against maybe as a player, maybe as a captain, and say like, okay, how does this match up against other players in the Hall of Fame? Is this actually worthy as someone? But something I also think about when I think about who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame is, can you tell the story of THL without having them in it? And when it came to Diamond, I thought about that and I thought, no, I don't think you can talk about a narrative of the teams, of the players that have done well in THL and that have been, part of THL, just not only as players, but as community members, in the past, 2, 3, 4 years, without thinking about Diamond. Not only has he obviously been a very strong player and captain, uh, he's brought in a lot of people. I think he's been a big part in bringing out a lot of the college players that we have. A lot of people in the TESPA scene have been involved in THL. I think maybe not exclusively, but in part because of Diamond, being that role model, being a captain, captaining a ton of teams and bringing in people who will not only play in THL, but will stick around and play there for multiple seasons. And that's really why I think that Diamond is deserving of the Hall of Fame. And Donde, you're right. I think also said it probably better than I could. Like, he's just so prolific. He's super active in chat, just like helping people out. I mean, I know he's come to me with like multiple suggestions about how to improve things. He's always there helping out players, helping out new captains because he's been in THL so long. Yeah, no, it's just he really just does so much, not only as a player, but just also as someone who is helping build the community, which you look at a lot of these players, they've obviously done really well as Hearthstone players and in THL, but they've also done a lot in terms of helping organize things, helping contribute to content, helping build the community with, more players that make THL just a good place to be.
Yeah, I want to add one more thing too that occurred to me while you were saying that was I don't think I've ever seen a better team builder as a captain as well. Just from being a pro captain myself a few times and from just like getting hyped about a reveal for a team, you think you have a good team, you think your team is really good, and then you see Diamond's team and you're like, uh-oh, here we go. So super deserving entry into the Hall of Fame. Just he's stacking boats at this point.
And he has to retire now. That's the rule. All these players have to retire. You're not allowed to play anymore. Not from content. If you do content, you have to keep. Actually, you have to do more content, or we're removing you from. No, this is Diamond kind of makes it. Diamond kind of makes it teams, and I don't know if you noticed this, but like lately as a player, he's pretty fantastic too. Like when he doesn't play in all the series all the time, but when he does, he's very, very solid. So, like a Diamond. I'm just full of the Diamond puns. Crazy. It's almost like I googled Diamond puns. Show started. I waited till after the show started.
Do that.
I was running out of them.
There you go.
I get credit for naming Diamond teams. You do now, CMAC. Absolutely. I can amend that onto your Hall of Fame resume. So So that's actually it. That's actually your entire April 2022 inductee class. I would say stand and give them a round of applause. But we're online, and unless you're Markshire, he actually healthy.
I used to be.
Yeah, then you joined. Then you joined the workforce.
We'll see. The pandemic has been rough. Not gonna lie. Yeah, that and having a full-time job, it's not great.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning into the Hall of Fame aspect of this stream. I would hope that you continue to stick around because we are now going to talk about March Madness. You're going to see a lot of these players again because it is a celebration, this off-season event that is, for our criteria was how players did this past season. So for those who don't know, we did this 2 years ago. It was a pretty popular and successful event despite it taking quite some time. So we're going to try to not have it take as long time around. But it's, just like the name implies, March Madness, it's a 64-person single-player event, single elimination, just like the NCAA basketball tournament. Everybody was seeded based on their performance this past season. So there were ways to get into the tournament that were automatic. So if you won a championship in any series, you should know, obviously, that you're in because you know that you won. If you're an all-star or an all-pro, in. All-wild, of course, as well. So those are the automatics. We had anybody who was a BGH, Big Game Hunter. So there were 2 players there. And then we had anybody who was the top 5 most streamed player also automatically. So that left us with a big 6 spots to decide. It is April absurdity at this point. So we had 6 at-large bids. Markshire, you were part of the committee. Did you feel like it was harder this time around with only 6 spots versus, I think last time we had close to 17, 18 spots to decide? Wild, the addition of Wild definitely cut down on the availability for what we had to decide.
It's definitely, I mean, I feel like it was slightly easier just because we were so limited in the amount of players. But it was interesting. I think we agreed on a couple, but then the few other spots we really had to think about it. But it was interesting. I mean, we kind of agreed on just an overall philosophy that we do want to reward players who play in multiple series a little bit more. And it's also just because, if we don't, we're also just we're comparing oh, this person was 6-1, but they only played 1 series versus this other person who maybe they're only 2 or 3 games over 500 total, but they played in 4 overall. How do we weigh that? So we kind of just we definitely thought about just overall PPR when we weighed this, but there was definitely a lot of good discussion. I think maybe a little bit less. Last time there was a lot in terms of the overall philosophy, but we thought a lot about that. And we also really tried to look at, okay, what was their performance just this past season? Because everyone who isn't an at-large, it's all the invites are based on this past season. Did you win a championship? Were you an all-star? Were you in BGH? Stuff like that. So we do have some players here who made it in, who are, I would say, known as being very strong players overall, but might be a little bit of a lower seed just because they ended up not doing as well in the last season. And that's a philosophy choice that we made, because otherwise it brings in a ton of bias, a ton of subjectivity. And of course, none of these are perfect. I'm sure there are going to be, a lot of comments in Discord about, why this person was seated that way. We really tried our best to be fair overall and try to get, a sense for some approximate ranking, because we are bringing people together from 5 different series. So it really is a lot.
And for total transparency, the committee was 5 members, the same 5 members that actually did it 2 years ago. It was myself and Markshire alongside 2-Star Mako, Luzasaurus, and Myanodon. So, yes, unbiased, unrigged, and transparent. Ron, you were not a member of the committee. You actually saw this bracket for the first time a few days ago. And you had some opinions on it. What was your first thought when you saw the bracket?
Holy shit. if I could be so blunt, just I looked at the bracket and I was like, oh my god, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, I remember playing in March Madness the previous time that we did it, and I mean, just comparing the last one, which by the way was crazy stacked and had a final of Avi and Heat Shock, with Heat Shock winning it. Like, those are insane players. Yeah, the field is nonsense good this time around. I'm 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 shook from some of the 15 seeds, you could even say. It's insane. I'm pretty hyped to see the reveal here for all of you guys. It's just I feel like more than half of the field, or at least half the field, can realistically win this tournament. They're all so good. It's crazy.
Absolutely. So I know we've been kind of stringing it along here, so we're going to string it along a little bit more before we go into the actual bracket. We're just going to go ahead and unveil it all in one go. But before we do that, the 6 players who did not qualify via those methods that we talked about, we're going to announce those players because they're the ones that don't know they're in it yet. We haven't told any of these players that they're not in it, that they are actually in it. Kept this whole thing under wraps. So our 6 at-large players were Always Lethal, J.R. Juggerlaw, Dr. Fish, Nice Jewish Owl, Starlax, and Trito. Trito 2, sorry. The second Trito. Very important distinction. Those were our 6 players that didn't make it by any other method. Everybody else that made it should already basically know they were in. So it's not a surprise that you're in. Yes. Gradium, J.R. Fish, Milo, Trito, Always Lethal, Starlax. So, didn't you go like 7, 12, and 2? No, you were better than that. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when we get into the bracket here. Stop underselling yourself.
We'll see.
All right, so we have, without further ado, to reveal the bracket. Ta-da! I didn't have any music for that. This is the whole bracket. As you can see, the way it's set up is in different regions, like we have for the NCAA tournament. You've got your 1 seeds will play your 16 seeds to open, 2 seeds play your 15 seeds, and so forth. Some of the 15 seeds are a little unfair, as Ron Mexico might point out. I'll let you talk.
Fine. It's fine.
I'll let you talk about it when we get to that region. So we're gonna just take this one region at a time and kind of talk about how the players got to where they were, how we decided on where they fell. So right up at the top left, we've got a matchup of Rabobson Super Buckles. Rabobson was our just #1 overall player. Just his bribe went through. He said he wanted to bribe somebody to become the overall #1 seed. But yes, Hall of Famer, good player. He's #1 overall. Super Buckles made it in via a championship, and Rabobson was championship, all-star, like everything. He was just like he literally took up multiple spots. So he's got to be considered to be one of the favorites, I would imagine, across this entire bracket. And going straight down, we'll just go to 215, which is at the bottom of this quadrant here. We've got Glee versus Superhero. Glee, you may know, is a phenomenal player overall as well. Got in via All Pro, and Superhero got in via Championship. Actually, no, not teammate with Super Buck. They're on 2 different. Use them because.
Was also recently mentioned in like the YouTube video that Plants posted of DreamHack Atlanta.
Yes,
Everyone wants to throw back. That was Plants versus Geely. Yeah, good times.
Our 3 versus 14 is Jessbean versus C1. CBeak was a championship winner, and Jessbean All Pro, I believe, off the top of my head. Actually, crazy that they're only a 3, but this top left bracket is. I mean, at the 4 seed we have a GM. Yeah, why not? Pasqua with Jake Weiss. Jake Weiss was I believe, Wild champion, and Pasqua is All Pro. Yeah, really good. Really
Jake Weiss won in Pro.
Oh, 1 in Pro. I'm sorry, 1 in Pro, not Wild. I had it backwards. So we have a 5 versus 12. These are the historical seeds, by the way, where it starts to get a little bit muddied. Like in the actual NCAA tournament, the 5 seeds tend to lose a reasonable amount of time to the 12 seeds. So I think it'll be interesting here with Skirt versus Chewbacca. Definitely a fun matchup there. And what's this next matchup? 6 versus 11. Marty versus Donde.
Oh,
That's not good.
this is my only confident pick of the entire tournament. It's
That's not
Marty B
good.
all the way.
I
Easy win.
I don't like that. I'm not gonna lie.
Free.
I don't like that. What I do like is the possibility of beating Coles 3 rounds from then, should I get there, because that's the next matchup is Pasca versus Coles, 7 versus 10. You know, those who don't know, Coles is one of my best friends. I can't live it down if I lose to him. Not possible. I might just quit. Like Hearthstone, not even THL, just everything.
I mean, fortunately for you, you're not making it out of the first.
It might be a blessing in disguise to lose. It might.
Nothing to worry about at all.
It might be. And then our final matchup in that top quadrant there is Lupin versus Agent PWE. Yeah, that's right, Hall of Famer. Agent PWE is a 9 seed. So that's cool. Sorry, Lupin. Both of you, fantastic players, had great seasons, and that's just going to be a tough matchup. Yeah, this is just the first 16 players here. I should point out that we had a joke a little bit. So like I made it in via stream. I was one of the top 5. I never actually asked to be on stream all season. I only went on when people asked me, and it just kind of happened that way that I ended up being in that way. I don't think I would have made the tournament otherwise, to be honest. We joked that the Donde line was basically the dead average player, because I was like 31 and 31 across all 3 series combined or something. Or no, 13 and 13 rather, not 31, 31. 13 and 13. Like I was perfectly 500. I was like almost perfectly 500 in games. I was like literally the most average player that you could. So if you were like below me, it was kind of like, well, I mean, you should at least be better than him, right? To like make the tournament.
The Donde rule. I like it.
Yeah, like the Mendoza line is in baseball. It's like when you hit below 200. So it was like the Donde line. Like if you're not at least better than him, you probably are not going to be a contender. So that was kind of the running that we had going. So yeah, so Markshire, I'll go with you first. Thoughts on this part here, this part of the bracket here. Who's your favorite coming out of this bracket? This part of the bracket, not Donde, that's for sure. Is he speechless? We lost him.
Wait, wait, you're just talking about the first quadrant right here? I just need to measure my takes. A lot to say. I am definitely very interested in seeing how Jaspine does, because he mentioned in chat that he was pretty unknown. I mean, I'll be honest, he's very unknown to me. I don't really know much of anything about Jaspine, so I could definitely see them doing very well. But a lot of very interesting matchups here. We've got like Skirt Reynolds versus Chewbacca. Chewbacca maybe kind of implying in chat he's a little underseeded. Skirt Reynolds coming in at a very high seed, despite I think not being an overall very high seed in THL, although I could be wrong about that. But a lot to say. And then I mean, G Lee over here, he has that in-person tournament experience, which not many people can say that they have in today's day and age. So a lot to say there. So yeah, I mean, any of these players could easily, meet Marty B in the finals of or in the Final Four.
Yeah, nice. We're just calling Marty or in the Final Four. Okay, that's a heck of a call.
The Elite Eight for this quadrant.
Okay, I say Marty over a GM, over crossover player. Like, I mean, that's supreme confidence in Marty. I appreciate it. Ron, what are you thinking?
So this one, I'm just like rooting for Pascoa versus Pasca.
That would be cool.
I just want to see that.
Absolutely confusing.
But just insane players throughout, and like I mean, Jake Weiss in the 13 is nuts. Like the 4 versus 13, I really want to see, because oh my god, just incredibly good players. I'm gonna put my money on Glee though, making it out of this segment of the bracket. I don't know, he kind of hit a hot streak in pro. Like he literally went undefeated and won the pro MVP, and I know the meta is going to be totally different, but I have full confidence that he's going to be able to adapt quickly and really make some noise.
So I'm gonna I mean, it's always one of those situations where like it makes sense to go with the chalk, so to speak, and pick the high ranking players, because win, just like that's the most likely route to you winning your bracket challenge if you do this. And by the way, there is a bracket challenge, for that in a second. So like saying Rubobson is like the easy answer, but I'm not going to say Rubobson. Jaspine today was out there crushing Masters Tour qualifiers, is on a hot streak. I'm going to ride the hot hand and say Jaspine makes it out our Final Four. from this northwest quadrant of the Pacific region, I guess like we're like this part of the region, like everybody's playing in Seattle. They don't have an NBA team anymore.
True.
But we'll give them some THL play. So Just Bean will be my pick to make out of here. Luckily they won't have to.
None of us picking the GM to make it to the Final Four.
Right?
Kind of wild, honestly. I almost picked Pascoa, but at the last minute I was like, I'm going to have Glee beat him in the Elite Eight.
Wildland says we should name the regions something. I was actually thinking about it. I ran out of time. Like, I was thinking what I could name the regions. Last time we went with the 4 series names. So we had, Ragnaros Division, we had Sylvanas, we had Mysterious Challenger, because that existed at the time. And then final one. I forget what we did.
We should just open up polling to THL to name our regions.
Yeah.
Do a little thing in the Discord and see if you guys.
We'll pick it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let it into the bracket for sure.
Oh wow, Wild 9, that's an awesome suggestion. We might actually that might have just already won the poll right there. Boom.
There are 4.
League of Explorer Heroes, easy.
The math checks out.
Such a good idea.
Math checks out.
I love it.
Well, let's talk about our Finley.
The Elise division?
Yeah,
the Finley division.
Yeah. That's the Elise.
Okay.
We'll go with Elise first, Finley, because Elise is the best druid portrait anyways.
At least until the new one is out. Yeah.
Chewbacca's calling dibs on Finley. I'm going to give him this, so we won't go Finley. We'll go with Brand. This is the Brand bracket right here. So Memnarch heads up the Brand bracket, playing Glare, a somewhat wild-centric matchup. This is a standard and not a wild tournament, but Memnarch versus Glare will be in your 116 up there at the top, with Corbett also a wild. He is fantastic regardless, but a wild specialist, I guess you would say, playing You Kitten Me, who is a BGH entry in the 15th. 3 and 14 is always lethal. Our first at large versus Pokemon 661. Then we have the 413 in the middle. Yeah, it's another GM. That's McBanterface. He's been around THL before he's a GM, so that's it's a little bit we know him as Hype Horizon stalwart for several seasons in a row, playing as Ataraxial 13 seed. 5 versus 12 is that second at large. That's Trito. 2 versus Turtle, and that's a deceptive 12 seed for Turtle right there. Great player, waiting to make a deep run. 6 versus 11. This is like the at large portion of the bracket, I guess. I don't know. Nice Jewish Owl versus Neji Boston. Yeah, that's not. One of the best players.
Yeah, Neji at 11.
We talked about his hero struggles. So that kind of bumped him down a little bit seed wise. But I would like to just say, hey, I'm the same seed as Neji. That's pretty cool for me as a player that's going to go 0 for 1 in this tournament. 2-star Mako at 7 versus Chronic 10. Chronic, a teammate of mine, made it via the Legacy All-Star. Mako was a hero All-Star. And then the final matchup here is Fish versus ABC. Yeah, so 4 of our at-larges made it into this bracket, the side of the bracket here, now named Bran part of the bracket. So Dr. Fish versus ABC at that 8-9. Fish just had a very solid season overall. Was strong in every series. Didn't have like that one dominant performance, but was a contributor to every team. So definitely a deserving outlet there. Do we have is Neji gonna come out of this side of the bracket? You wouldn't be crazy to say it, right? But McBanterface is here. Like Memnarch has been just dominant. Corbett is here. Like those are the 4 names that jump out to me at first. What do you think, Ron?
Yeah,
Markshire, sorry, you first. Jump in.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. So Memnarch, I know very little about Memnarch. I've definitely seen the name before because he's I think a pretty well-known white player. But after we did kind of our initial seeding and then actually got together as a group as the selection committee to discuss it, I just looked at Memnarch's record again and was like, oh my god, this guy has to be a 1 seed. I mean, like Rebob, I think deserves the overall 1 seed because he is crossover player. But Memnarch just has insane. I think he's just over 500 and has like insane win rates in like every series that he played in this season. This is a guy who I can see going very far. Obviously, he is the 1 seed overall, so that counts for a lot. Also, you can't out another GM. I don't know if we have GMs in like every single quadrant here, but McBannerface could definitely do very well. And yeah, and I mean, also Neji just I think kind of underseeded here, mainly due to this hero performance. I mentioned again, we really did want to mainly look at the last season performance across all series. Neji, not the best season in hero, so that's why he drops down here. But saw from Hall of Fame inductions, obviously a very strong player overall. So I could see him going very far as well.
Yeah, just I mean fitting the theme of the entire thing, the whole bracket's busted top to bottom. I'm gonna go with the 4 seed here. McBanterface, the GM. I got him making it out of this segment of the bracket, making it to the final 4. I picked against one GM on the other side. Not going to do that twice. The other 4 seed GM in this tournament, I think, will be the one to make it out of this bracket. But man, this is just a minefield to get through.
Yeah, I could definitely see like a Memnarch versus McBanterface matchup, having that be the gateway to the 8. And I kind of like looking at the bottom half of the bracket. Neji, so dominant, hard to pick against. I think Chronic's going to surprise some people when he's focused and wants to dominate. He's a lot better than that 10. So definitely keep an eye out for him. I know this is a bit of like a homer pick teammate, but at the same time, I mean, I'm not going to pick him. Neji would probably win that matchup if I had to. So I am going to say McBanterface as well out of this.
Oh, and I'm going to make a little upset pick here. Glare over Memnarch. Round 1.
Oh, so
let's go.
All right, 16 over.
Look,
1.
it happened. It happened
Yes.
in the previous March Madness.
US,
I think it was Super Murloc beat. No, Super Murloc beat. That too. That did happen actually in NCAA. But Super Murloc beat Lil Harthy. Like a while back in the previous March Madness. That was a 1 versus 16, and the 16 seed won. So I'm going with the big upset that has some precedent here. It's Wild Player versus Wild Player, the 1 versus 16 here, and I'm backing Glare.
All right,
get him.
Someone feel free to clip that because we'll revisit that in a see what happens there.
It should famous for my bad takes.
It should be noted we didn't mention this at the top, but this is not starting until after the release of the expansion. So we have a week to marinate on these ideas, get everybody into the bracket challenge, which is completely free. You just have to fill out a bracket, and so you'll have a full week to mull over your choices. All right, so we've got the Finley bracket in the top, or Finley quadrant in the top left, the brand in the top right. So we'll put Elise down here in the bottom right. So Elise is headed up by Justin Time, always Justin, sometimes Justin, always Justin. He was the 1 seed down here, playing against Icer. Odds of him bringing 4 Murloc decks is like 95%, and he'll win sometimes with them. What'd he do? Nails down in the 2, playing against Bremen. 15. Bremen was a leg champion. We've got the 3 versus 14, and I just decided I wasn't going to try to pronounce OTZ's full name, so we go OTZ versus Genji. Genji was a streamer as well. OTZ won Wild, top of my head, dominant over 11-1.
I think it was 10-1.
10-1.
Yeah.
Based at 4, another crazy 4 seed, Hall of Fame 4 seed versus Epthopper at 13, and then your Mumked versus T-Stew. T-Stew was phenomenal in, I believe it was Legacy, and only
just won an MVP. No big deal.
Just won an MVP, but only played the 1 series. So again, this is we tend to weight it heavier to the players that play multiple series. Your Mumkid is the 5 seed here. JR Juggerlaw, another one of our at-larges, playing against the other final at-large, Starlax. So they didn't know they were making it. They didn't know they were playing. They're going to duke it out here in the 6 versus 11. See if they can make it out of this part of the bracket. And then we have 7 versus 10 Seth, aka For Christ, versus Tiger Eye. Final matchup, Jordan MG in the 8 versus. I have trouble pronouncing. Is it Ezart? Ezart?
Is that?
He's Southeast Asia, I believe. Singapore, Asia, one of the two. I think Singapore. I think I'm. But yes. So another phenomenal.
He's a monster of a player too.
Tournament player,
Like,
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, winning Master Store qualifiers, just laying waste to people left and right. Like he's someone that I could easily see taking it in this bracket.
Yeah, it's funny when you talk about the Masters Tour players. Like, this is the type of environment for them, because you're picking 4 decks and you're going all the way with them. You're not picking on a weekly basis like in THL. You're not setting yourself up, countering your opponent. You're picking what you think can wade through an entire field and make the most of every matchup. And yeah, you might run into a bad matchup, but that you got to overcome it. And that's what happens when you win a Masters Tour qualifier. You're inevitably going to run into something that you're bad against. You're going to run into some lineup that you're at least not super favored against. And the players that know how to overcome that are the players that are going to go farthest. And someone like him, it's going to be a huge advantage. So yeah, I can definitely see that being a kind of a sleeper underdog pick here. I guess Ron, I'll start with you this time. Markshire, hold up just a sec. Ron, what are your thoughts on this squadron here?
Man, there's about like 4 or 5 different players that I want to just I see their name and I want to immediately put them in the final 4. It's that kind of bracket, like they all are. But I have to go this one. I'm gonna go with Nails. I'll put my faith in Nails. Getting an early drop on what's good in the meta early on, and give it to him to make it out of the bracket and make it all the way to the final 4.
Markshire, what do you think?
So, who I have making it to the final 4 is none other than OT Zaxia, or OT Zaxia. I don't really know exactly how to pronounce his name, but this is another guy that when I was initially making my seeding, I had no idea who they were. Then I was like, oh wow, they went 10-1. That's insane. And then Marta talked about how good they were. A couple people in chat have talked about how good this person is. I'm thinking we're right out of an expansion. This is going to be a place where people who get the jump on some broken cards are going to be really good, and I think wild players know more than anyone how to exploit things that are broken, how to deck build in new environments. And I think OT Zaxia already a very high seed. I can see them doing very well. A lot of other really strong players here. I can definitely see Starlax. I mean, Don, you talked about that kind of at-large matchup here. I think that's an upset I could definitely see happening. But yeah, in terms of going all the way, I'm going for OT Zaxia here.
So getting news from Marty that it's OT Zaxia, which makes sense.
Zaxia. Okay.
Thank you, Marty.
That makes sense.
We really should have just reached out to people for pronunciation, but then it would give away where people were.
We could have. So
we'll do better for 2020.
What about that EPT Hopper guy?
Yes, I was told I did that incorrectly as well. I said Epthopper.
So is it Epthopper?
It's not. It's not that. So, sorry. Doing my best out here. This is, we talked about like the first few sections where there's like 4 or 5 players that could realistically really run with it. This one I feel like there's probably like 12 or 13 I could shock me. So this might be the hardest one to pick. I think Nails is a perfectly fine. Wouldn't be surprised if Nails did take it all the way. In the absence of any real idea, I'm gonna go with there's a reason he's number 1. I'm gonna go with always just in time. I think the key matchup, if Edzart does make it past Jordan in the first round, I think that's the big one. Justin gets by there. Maybe has to get by base after that, but I think it's Justin's quadrant to lose. So.
And as far as I know, Justin won't take a game loss for not appearing on camera. So
no, he will not.
That's a big benefit right there.
Would not. Yeah, so we want to get as many of these matches on stream as possible. There will be incentives. I'll talk about that in a bit. Playing on stream, it's not required, but the more that we can have on stream. All right, so last but not least, we had we had Rand, Finley, and Elise. Blanking on who the fourth explorer is. Somebody help me out.
What did we say? Finley, Elise,
Bran,
Bran,
Reno.
and
Yes,
Reno. You forgot about Reno?
We're gonna be rich.
Reno, yes.
He's like the most iconic one. What the heck? All right, so this is the Reno bracket down here. We have Super Chicken as your 1 seed down here versus Matt at Arms in the 16 seed. That was a BGH upset, so Matt at Arms looking for another BGH-esque win here. Ron down in the 2 seed playing Dardar Binks. We'll let you talk about that in just a second because I believe you had some complaints. Okay. Yeah, that's putting it lightly. Wild 9 versus Wild Rose 3 and 14. That was not planned, but fantastic synergy, and I totally appreciate it. That should be a fun one. Ducharmo, another Hall of Famer, versus Hickett 13. That I believe Hickett is a legacy all-star player. Ducharmo, all-pro, or all-star hero. Diamond versus Fly, 5 versus 12 there. And then we have Neb Canuck, who was one of the best players. I think the best record in the regular season for Legacy versus Rice Bowl, aka NHL NJ Fan 2, I believe. Is Rice Bowl? Is that correct?
Solid.
Okay. So on to the 7 seed, Aquaman 575 versus Jimmy. 7-10 matchup. Dabs versus German Shep, 8 versus 9. That's, for an 8 versus 9 matchup, kind of ridiculous.
And pro championship teammates. There's some for the boys hate going on here at the top part of this quadrant with Super Chicken on For the Boys, Dabs and German Shep on For the Boys, all in just like 3 of them or 2 of them are immediately going to be knocked out by the time we get to Sweet 16. It's pretty rough.
And we got Diamond right there, like just
and
below.
Team Captain Diamond just right in the same section.
Oof.
That section of 8 is pretty ridiculous right there. This is a fun quadrant here. Ron, lay it on us. How you feeling?
Oh man. Well, it was fun, guys. Glad I could make the tournament. It's exciting to be here all the way in the 2 seed and getting knocked out in round 1. It's gonna be great. Dardar just absolutely unreal that he's here at the 15 seed, but it is what it is. If you want to win the tournament, all you got to do is just win every game, right? So it's fine. All this is fine. Just don't lose, and you win it all easy. Don't but honestly, lose. Just wow, incredible seeding right there, and I'll be the first to predict that Dardar is advancing to the second round.
All right, you heard it here first. Ron is throwing. Are you gonna mark your bracket too?
I don't need to throw, but my bracket's always just gonna have me winning it all because that's just what I like to do.
It's you're doubling down. It's extra sweet if you happen to win it.
You visualize,
Absolutely. Mark Shire, you've been quiet.
So someone fact check me here. Does Super Chicken go to Carleton?
I think so.
Yes.
Yes. He does, right? Okay. So all right. Here's my thinking. Carleton's Ultimate Frisbee team was disqualified from 2021 National Championships because they had a player disqualified is a strong word. They had a player get COVID, so then they withdrew from the whole tournament.
I mean, that's less fun.
So that's maybe not that, but I mean that was really fortunate for them. Karmically, I think their Hearthstone team is going to do really well, so I'm picking Super Chicken to make it to the final floor. He's also just a really strong player, and I mean I'm looking at all of this and just we've got the Dabs versus German Nep, we've got Ron versus Dardar. Rice Bowl versus Nebcanuck, that's another these are both, all really strong players. I think they're just going to beat each other up. Super Chicken is the one player I see as actually being able to make it there. But if I do have, one upset pick, I would say it's Rice Bowl. Neb Canuck did really well, but Rice Bowl is just like, they're a consistent standard and wild player. I can definitely see them being able to figure out, what's the secret sauce in the new expansion, putting together a new lineup, and end up having a pretty good run.
Yeah, I can definitely see and make a case for Rice Bowl doing well here. That bottom 8, it does seem like there's quite a few players that could make it to the Elite 8 from that section. My final 4 pick from this group is this is going to be the lowest seed that I've picked of any of the 4. I'm going with Dabs.
Oh wow, that's actually my pick too.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on winning, Dabs, I guess, or being cast, Chris. I don't know. One or the other. You can blame us or you can thank us later. We'll see how it happens.
Yeah, you're welcome for that, Dabs. 2 casters picking you for the final 4 in a majorly stacked quadrant.
Yeah.
Good luck.
No big.
Yeah.
All good.
Also hella motivation for Shep. This is not
saying that we don't believe in Shep.
Shep immediately just sweeps Dabs.
Oh my goodness. All right, so that is everything. That is all 64 players. That is all 32 matchups in the first round. We won't obviously know what's going on down the line until we start playing some of these matches. So let's talk about how this works. If you didn't, if you weren't around for the first one, didn't participate in the first one, basically what happens is it is flex scheduling, just like the regular series in THL. You can play whenever you're available with your opponent. Once the tournament starts, we are waiting until the weekend after the expansion release. There'll be a couple days to play around with your new cards and new archetypes and things like that. So essentially, the schedule going forward here is going to be, we're going to release the bracket out to everybody to go ahead and do their picks. You can go ahead and email that in to help, and then we'll get them added into the spreadsheet. Do not Discord message it. We want them all in email for ease of having them in one spot so that we can enter them in. So that's going to be the first thing up, is the bracket challenge. Winner of that will win some packs. Then the Friday after the expansion comes out, which is next Friday, so a week from today, 15th, is when your classes or your decks will be due. It is open list. It's just like our Pro Series, so it's open list, same 4 decks the whole way through the tournament. So this is going to be due by Friday midnight West Coast time. So that is Friday, and then you can start playing anytime on Saturday after that. So you can start scheduling with your opponent now, anytime on the 16th or later. But we are trying to ideally do 1 round every 3 days. There will be some flexibility, but ideally we wanted to get this done by like the end of the month and not June like last time. So if you can try to schedule as soon as your next match becomes available, that would be greatly appreciated. We did want to try and start it on the weekends, so that way people would have the most flexibility. I know some people like to play on the weekend more than the weeknights, but there will be some times where we probably have to try and schedule some weekends. So please try to do your best. Schedule as quickly as possible. Just standard THL rules apply. Anything that would happen in a series dispute-wise is the same for this tournament. So, game losses and whatnot, we hope there are no issues, but just use the same rules that are on the website that we abide by for our Pro Series. They are not changing in any way. And other than that, just have fun with it. And we'll announce the exact prizes in a little bit here. I'll put that in like actual writing in the Discord. And that's it. We're ready to have some fun. I've been so excited about this for months. And I was working on this as soon as teams started winning championships and all-stars and whatnot were being figured out. So it's exciting to see this all kind of come to it's not a conclusion. I mean, we're just getting started in the tournament, but for me it feels like all the work is done. Everything's over but me losing in round 1 to Marty, as far as I'm concerned, and then I can just sit back and enjoy the rest of the tournament.
See, that's the surreal strat. You just line up a super tough opponent.
Oh yeah.
Go out and just sit back and watch the fireworks.
Yeah, and then I can just cast it instead, so that's much better. Yeah, if you want to play your matches on stream, we will be trying to find spots to play these matches on stream right alongside any of our weekly matches in those first few weeks. So if you and your opponent are down for it, let us know. Let me know. I'm not gonna put anybody else on the spot for for opping, but you know, the nights that we would standard op, like I'd be doing, you know, Fridays, Wild9 is Saturday, and Saku would be Sunday. Fish will also be helping out at times as well. Just let any of us know, and we'll try to get you in and have some fun with this.
Yeah, I do want to say, just shout out to Donde for putting this together. There really is a lot of work that goes into just like organizing March Madness, like getting all these players together. Like, I mean, there's so many like different categories that we had for these actual players, and then making sure we had the stats to make informed decisions about the at-large players. And making sure the committee was pulled together to end up figuring out seating and making this happen. So really shout out to Donde for engineering this. I think it's just a super cool event, and yeah, I'm really excited to see it over the next few weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah, second that for sure.
Thank you guys. I mean, obviously, I have fun doing this type of stuff. It's just cool to put on events that people like to participate in. We had such a good response list the last time we did it that I thought it was a good idea to bring it back around. And yeah, I'm excited to crown a new champion. Funny enough, we mentioned at the top of this, Ron, you did that Heat Shock versus Avi were our final 2 players last time. Neither of them are even in the tournament this time, so we'll have no repeat winner, which is kind of cool that it'll be a new champion. It'd be awesome. Looking forward to seeing what happens. So Heatshock will win again. CMAC will fill out his bracket, just have Heatshock in the middle. He's just gonna throw that final match, and I would respect it if he still won the bracket challenge despite that.
Yeah.
So that is that's everything. So yeah, about 9:30ish for that March Madness reveal. We were close, and this has been a great kind of return for me at least. I hope you guys had a good time jumping back in.
Oh, absolutely.
The stream here.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, I'm spent. I got nothing else. Thank you both for being here tonight. Thank you everybody in chat, chatting it up, having fun. Congratulations again to all of our Hall of Famers. I'm sure somebody clipped that. If not, we'll go ahead and make sure that gets posted in the Discord as well. And of course, it will be up on the website and the various players. Hopefully everyone knows by now. I mean, some people are probably sleeping, but I was shocked to see Marty, honestly, that still. But man doesn't sleep.
True. He's taken after Hat, just,
yeah.
This is the way.
Oh, and yes, a thank you to Hat for recording that fantastic introduction as well. I know he was very adamant that he wanted to be involved in the proceedings, even though he couldn't be here himself. So thank you so much to him for being here. Thanks to everybody for making THL so much fun, season in and season out, year in and year out. Never thought personally when I started 3 years ago playing THL that it would be anything like this for me, and I wouldn't want to keep doing it if it weren't for all the cool people play. So thanks for filling up my friends list, making it so I don't know who to delete when I need to put somebody new in there to play a Masters Tour qualifier or even a THL match on a regular weekly basis. Y'all are cool and stay that way. So that's it. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see you within the next week or so for our reveal stream. And we also have the set review coming too, now that is approaching fast. So check out Lotus and Based for that. I believe that's tomorrow night, actually. So I'll just confirm on that with them. And yeah, those are 2 very smart Hall of Famers doing some card reveals. So they didn't know they were Hall of Famers when they made the set review. But then now you got to put some respect on that name. So show up tomorrow, cheer them on, and call them dumb if you don't think that they're predicting things correctly, because we know that there's no way that
they're
right.
Hall of Famers, so I mean, there's no way they're wrong, right? If they're Hall of Famers.
I just want to see the I just want to see the Trump 1 star, and that's Defile, and it's like the best.
What?
It's the best card that has like existed in that set.
Yeah.
1 star for Defile. Yep. Good job. See, even the best players, you can't get all the cards right.
True.
All right, we're just hanging on at this point. But thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. I think we've run our course at this point. So thanks again, everybody, for being here, and we will talk to you in the Discord and see you later this season. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Bye.